Welcome to Hey Dad Podcast. Real dads, tough issues, and a genuine love for a fatherless generation.
And on the other hand, the only hope for stability and the only hope for sanity, the only hope for peace in a society is masculine, virtuous men. Evil abounds absolutely everywhere. How men respond to its presence determines the survival and well-being of a society. Let me say that again. Evil abounds everywhere. How men respond to its presence determines the survival and well-being of that society. One psychologist said, masculinity is taking responsibility to reduce evil and produce good. No culture will ever rise above the character of its men. The feminist lie has been that patriarchy is bad. It is tyrannical. It is toxic. It needs to be destroyed. And they've been doing it for decades. To destroy masculinity, to destroy strong male leadership and character leads to the current disaster. Irresponsible men running loose in the streets, terrorizing a society. And men are in a crisis today. They are being continually told to try to get in touch with their feminine side. So they have become defensive about their masculinity. Women rise higher and higher and higher and more frequently into positions of leadership as men feel overwhelmed and overpowered and unable to fight against the trend. Oh, there are lots of men at the gym, pretty buff, have some muscles, but they're doing virtually nothing to stop the tide of evil in the world. And by the way, in case women haven't begun to realize it, weak, immoral men abuse women. And they produce more weak, immoral sons. No, children don't get their view of God from their father, but they do get their view of what a man is. And we are in some serious trouble because the current crop of men are infecting the children. Listen to the word of God. Exodus chapter 20 and verse 5. I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers on the children, on the third and fourth generation of them that hate me. Listen to Exodus 34:7. God will by no means leave the guilty unpunished, visiting the iniquity of the fathers on the children to the third and fourth generation.
Hi and welcome. You just watched a video of John Macarthur. He's this wonderful pastor over here in Southern California. Has a lot to say, and he's very dynamic, very interesting. And we chose that video clip. He's speaking about masculinity in men and the importance of it. And it's this is a subject that really drags me down at times. In my life, I associate and mentor a lot of young men, and I can see this defeatism. I can see this pull away from living up to what a man should be. And I'm not talking about the negative parts people associate with manly men, but I'm talking about the positive parts. And they tend to completely abandon these traits of masculinity, and it becomes like, oh, you're toxic. You think you're better than you. It's not really that at all. It's a lot like he says. A real man is going to serve the people around him. They're going to serve the community. And that's what he touches on. So like right out of the gate, he says, we are the hope for humanity. What does that make you think of, Frank?
I'm just hearing that. It breaks my heart. It's not about macho. It's not about, like he said, muscles and all of that. I mean, it's about, again, and we've talked about it many times before, is knowing what God's description is of a man. Mm-hmm. What is a man? And a man is not what the world thinks. A man is a loving, protecting, caring for his children, knowing how to allow his daughters and wife to feel protected.
Right.
Not because you have to be this Cape Crusader or you have to be this really buff guy who could just beat people down. It's not even about a physical fight. Mm-hmm. It's about fighting the good fight.
Yeah.
It's about these demons that are real in this world that want to snatch your kids, and this mentality that the world gives you as a man and presents to you like this, you're not being man enough. This is what you got to be. And then by the same token, if you're overweight, if you're not, bulging out, then that part of you're missing that too, as what a man is called to look like in the world. So you have the internal and the external, but the spiritual is never there.
You're right. You could be all buffed and huge, and in society today, you're like, oh, wow, that's a man's man. That dude looks tough. Well, what kind of father are you? How kind to you to are your neighbors, to your parents? What kind of person are you? You're right. They use the wrong scale to judge it. It's funny, though, John Macarthur says that how men need to stand up to evil. And that's part of what, how would you say in today's world, how do we stand up to evil being a man of God, being a man?
You got to get to know who Jesus Christ is, and you got to get into his word. Pastor's talking about the armor.
Yeah.
And even in talking about the armor, a lot of us think we're talking about the pieces of the armor. It's not about that. It's about what the Bible says that you are to be to represent him.
Right.
And he doesn't say, go out there and become this physical giant and scare the crap out of people into doing things. It's the quite opposite. It's love people.
Yeah.
Be gentle.
Be gentle.
You know what I'm saying? Be compassionate.
Right.
There's a word that my family uses a lot, and I don't know why it doesn't stick, but it's not because I don't like it. Empathy.
Empathy, right.
That's so important. That was foreign to me. I didn't even know what that was.
Right.
Because I grew up in 67 and I went through the 80s and a man's man was either the guy that's out there with that Grizzly Adams, if you're that type of man, or the guy that walks the streets just getting into all kinds of fights and coming out on top. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But now I'm learning that I don't have to know how to fight with karate, or I don't have to do that. Mm-hmm. I just got to equip myself with knowing. Right now, I get more responses out of people by loving them than by forcing them.
Right.
And I'm learning that.
Right.
The greatest thing you could ever do is be like Christ as much as you can. Mm-hmm. And what is that? Kind, loving, respectful, caring. I'm listening to this and it's like, honestly, I almost broke down because I have sons and I have daughters. Mm-hmm. And it's not only about teaching them and protecting them, but how is their future going to be? It's scary.
You're right. Where's the stand against evil? I was talking to a young man, I think he was 20, And I was talking about a subject, and I said, it drives me nuts. You see these videos of when two girls start fighting, all these people get around them and start recording it. Everyone has the camera. Yeah. I said, and when I see these young guys, and I just, for whatever reason, I stopped and I asked him, what would you do? Oh, I'd break out my camera. He said it all excitingly. Yeah. And I had that feeling. I thought, really? You're going to let two women brutally hit each other, scratch each other, and cheer it on and record it? And you watch these videos, they're all over YouTube, and it's a bunch of guys. Oh my gosh, my heart breaks. And one man, please step out of that crowd and say, girls, stop it. You just give the girls space to stop it. What's going on? You know, I mean, we can't let ourselves go down this slope. So, you know, it's funny, Frank. I do think we put, when you live your life right, you put a stop to a lot of evil without even trying. Mm. You know, the circle of friends I had when I was young, if one of us cheated on our wives, the other ones would put them in check. We were very close friends. No. What are you doing? Nah, I can't believe you're even thinking about that. We would stop. We'd put yourself in check. And in putting yourself in check and putting your own self, you have influence on those around you. And that teaches them.
And not even marriage. I mean, I remember as a group, we were a group of 5. And when we started having girlfriends, and one of our friends would start even yelling at his girlfriend at a party or something, we're like, dude.
Yeah. You put him in check.
You, man.
You put him in check.
We'd get right in between.
Right.
And say, hey, dude.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you?
Right.
And then he would, a lot of times the guys would break down and say, dude, I was just angry at my dad. But we were able to get him to understand and see that was wrong. You're right. Nowadays, I don't know what these young girls, how they're perceiving what's happening, but they're being used for entertainment.
It seems like they're passive through it. I feel like, 'cause I have a young daughter, and I feel like this is what you have to choose from. You know, this, and I have to be fair. Young men you're still figuring your way through life, and you're going to make your mistakes. And so in that, you have to be fair. They don't have the minds of a 50-plus-year-old.
Of course.
But yeah, I see the traits. You know, I was talking one time to my daughter and her boyfriend, and I was saying, when me and my wife met, we were both doing our externship, and you don't get paid for doing your externship, right? So we were just broke. I said, and no matter how broke I was, my wife never paid for her own meal. She never opened her own door. I go, I've always, never. And my daughter had this look on her face, kind of like, you know, like, but it seems like those are lost attributes. I hear that in the Midwest, it still goes strong, and God bless you guys. I'm glad to hear that. But man, just to step into that role, and in living so, you hold other people accountable the same way.
Of course. And
everyone wants to raise their game up, and we should. We do stop evil.
There's a lot. Like one of the biggest things. I own my own business. I'm all over the place. You know, and these kids look at me like, this old dude, man. Who knows what they say behind my back? But I go to places where they sell materials. I'm a contractor, so like Home Depot, and I go to other vendors that sell materials, right? Mm-hmm. And I understand that these young men are, you know, they're getting hired and things like that. But I remember me being a teenager, whether it was a warehouse job, a storefront job, whatever it was. Yes, sir. No, sir.
Yeah.
Let me look for you. And I didn't have a computer. I had to run down the aisles to look for something and make sure that we had the part and come back with some options.
Right.
Because there was that thing about respect and, you know, just really being of aid to someone. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it wasn't about because that's what they're paying for. It was just in you.
Right.
That's what you were raised with. Nowadays, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to talk bad about anybody. Obviously, I'm not pinpointing one person. But almost everywhere I go, what I see is that there is no care in the world for that connection, for that just ability to say, once in a while you do get a young man, and I always compliment and say, whatever it's said at that point, but I make sure that I do. And I don't crap all over the ones that don't.
Right.
And I don't even blame them.
Right.
But we're in a society where there's none of that being given to them.
You see a difference in the next crop of men coming up, and that's what this show's about, though, man. We're like, hey, dudes, come over here. You know, hey, there's some shade here. come sit with us. Let's do this right. Let's get on the right track of life. Because for our voices, there's a lot of other voices saying a lot of other narratives.
Oh, yeah.
And we're competing for their thoughts, and we're competing for their heart. And, it's funny, too, Frank, if you think about it, the road we're saying, hey, come follow Christ, be a follower of Christ, live your life by God's decrees, live your life as God told men to live. What we're saying, though, is choose the harder road. The other road tells you, go do whatever you want, enjoy it, it's all okay. And we're saying, no, hold on, guys. Yeah. It's like, it may taste like candy, but it's going to kill you. Yeah. And it's going to kill you. It's going to kill your marriage. It's going to kill your children.
Sugar rots your teeth.
Exactly.
So, it tastes great, but it's not good.
Yeah. So we're saying that the road we're saying is, hey, submit your life to God.
You said something right now, choose the harder path. It's funny you said that, and I was thinking, when I first came to the Lord, my pastor said, he gave it to me straight, and he said, this is the hardest thing you'll ever do. But it's not because God is hard. It's because we're not willing to let go of the world.
Right.
We want to compromise. Yeah, but, straddle the fence. We go through all those things before we finally fall to our knees and say, I can't do this on my own.
So John MacArthur's point, masculinity's responsibility is to reduce evil and produce good. Produce good. Story. Strange story, but it's true. I'm in Long Beach. I'm in North Long Beach, right where there's a railway that runs through the street, like a mass transit kind of bus subway thing. And the platform's like about 4 feet off the ground. And then it just drops onto the tracks. It's like the most worst construction, but I guess how else do you get a train? I'm driving and I see this guy in an electric wheelchair, and the wheelchair fell over that edge. And he's laid out, his chair's laid out. He must have been about 300 pounds. And the chair was one of the motorized chairs, really heavy ones. Yeah. And he's just by himself. And there's these two young guys standing on the platform just looking down on him.
Probably filming him.
They weren't, oh my gosh, I probably would have broke their cameras. I don't know. But so I'm like, I stopped my car right in the street because now I'm afraid, what if a train comes? I don't know how those things stopping mechanisms work. I get out of my car and I looked at him. I said, excuse my language, but I was pumped with adrenaline. I said, get the hell down here and help me pick him up. And they did. They didn't even question. They just jumped down. And these were young, strong guys. And they were able to get him up. We got his chair up, put him in. The guy was drunk. It didn't help. And he started screaming about his hat. I'm all, shut up about your hat. We're getting you off the tracks. I was just filled with adrenaline. And I was angry at those boys. I was thinking to myself, boy, you guys didn't leap into action. I didn't tell them this. I wasn't there to, my car's parked in the middle of the street, but I was shocked at how passive they were about it. Like, oh, dude, you fell. Dude, really? I mean, I'm not saying they're all like that. There's a lot of young, good men out there, but that was okay.
But you're seeing this more and more. Everything is funny. Everything is about posting it. Everything outside of what it truly is. And it's, where's the morals? Where's the care for someone? Right. Where's the walking the old lady across the street? And, call me old, call me whatever, old fashioned, whatever you want. But it's not about that.
Yeah.
It's about having a heart.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's not about good or bad, black or white. It's about having a heart. Having a heart for what? For humanity.
Yeah.
There is no heart. The worst things are that happen to people, the more hits you're going to get on YouTube for what you posted.
Yeah, it's true.
It's like,
it rewards you in the wrong direction.
So you start getting cold to the reality of somebody's pain, whether it's physical or whether it's mental.
Yeah.
But it's all about you, what you can get from it.
Yep. To reduce evil and to do good. And that to good takes a million shapes. What did we do? We took the young guys out fishing. We took the old guys out fishing, to do good to your neighbors, to help your neighbors. Like we were talking, I don't know if we talked about it on camera or off camera. I remember you bought those tools for that young guy.
Yeah.
And you were really guiding him to launch his own thing. Man, dude, awesome. That's to do good.
And I don't do these things because I think I'm going to get some points with God, or I don't do these things because I feel I need to feel better about myself. God has equipped me with the love for just helping people. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. There's this right now, I always take different paths because I'm in a project and I'll be there for a while. So I go down the same path for a while, which is a path that I never traveled before. So I don't know anybody there, right? So I'm going to LA down to most of the time is not the very good areas of LA. Right now, the path that I'm taking is there's this little old guy and he's selling those chiclets, those Mexican gum. And he has these braces on his calves and he has this brace on his wrist, but he's out there.
Yeah.
And I don't choose to give someone. I ask the Lord, what do I do here, Lord? Because I'm feeling something. And he just tells me, bless them. Every time, and I'm going there every day, Monday through Friday. Every time I go through there, I bless him.
Yeah.
And he raises his little gum box.
Yeah.
And I tell him, God bless you. It's not because I get something out of it. It's because I was directed. I was told. So I don't have to listen to that sermon to do what he's saying to do. Is if you just stop thinking about you and stop thinking about what the world's telling you and you find yourself in Christ, you'll realize how amazing you are.
But it kind of takes on a different feeling when you come from the angle of, I'm a man, this is my job. This is my calling. This is my tribe. This is what I am. I am a priest. I need to step up and do it right. It's a bit of a challenge to you. And I would call it good pride. It's that pride of, no, I'm here. I'm here. This is what I was. God, for this day, God made me, and here I am for that. Yeah. It could be little and it could be large, and both are wonderful, and I think that's the best thing. In today's society, there seems to be an attack on the patriarchal society, how we view men and their place in the family, and the father's the head of the home, big macho guy, whatever. And in all the media sources, men are either bumbling idiots, they're violent, aggressive, ugly people, and it discourages me because I think to myself, boy, you know what I mean? Are those the examples of men you want to show? It's being challenged.
It's, to be honest with you, man, if I was to take those comments or those things that they say about men, again, it's about God and the world. If I allow the world to penetrate, I'm a mess.
Right.
I don't know which direction I need to go.
Right.
And I'm going to question everything I do in my home with my kids and my wife. But choosing God, you're still going to make mistakes. But there's somewhere you can go to get clarity on what you just did if you made a mistake or where you're thinking of going before you go. That's the difference.
Yeah.
But if I'm just going to sit there and watch the news, well, nobody watches the news anymore. It's watch YouTube or Instagram or whatever these things are, which I don't really care to watch. But I have looked. I don't think that I can't be both. I can't listen to what the world is saying and then conform it into what God is telling me to be. I think you have to make a decision. And I don't believe that there's anybody on this earth that has lived according to the world and it's ended up great for them.
Right. Exactly.
I don't believe there is anybody. I believe you're in the moment sometimes where you think this is awesome. I made it. This is good. See, but you're going like this and blam, you hit a wall. Now, with God, it doesn't mean you don't go through that. But every time you come to a situation where you make a mistake, the difference is that God has the instruction on how not to do that again.
Right.
Or what to look for.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Or not even to walk into it.
Or not even to walk into it, or find a way of escape.
Right.
A lot of us men have struggled with lust of the eyes. I mean, fornication, all types, pornography, all these things. I want to know, I would like to know, and I'm not challenging anybody. It's just that I'm around a lot of these men and I still haven't seen it. But a lot of these men that are or were addicted to this and they were in the world were never able to get out of that.
Yeah.
Now, I've literally experienced, been alongside, talked to, and been a part of men's lives that have been in that and came out and still struggling.
Oh, yeah.
Because now it's not about what they're looking at. It's about everything they put in here.
Yeah. Scars.
You know,
Scars, yeah.
so I mean, when he talks about what he talks about, you know, it's so scary. For me, I could say this. I could be selfish and say, well, you know what, dude? I'm not in danger to that because, well, I know where I stand with God. I'm 55 years old. I've been through it, and here I am. Mm-hmm. If I was to do that, then what good am I by being here and talking about Christ? But guys, I don't have to sit here and do this. I don't have to listen to what God says. I don't have to read my word. It's a choice. Mm-hmm. And the choice comes from what? Submission. When you submit to the Lord, it's greatness.
Right.
And you see it work.
Right.
And then as you develop that intimate relationship as a man, not only do you learn and understand what a man really is, but it feels so good to finally realize this is what a man is. This is what God says a man is.
I love what you said. This stuff is real, it's truth, and it works.
Yes, it does.
And it works. But you got to plug into it. You can't sit in the stands and passively clap like a fan. Dude, you got to get in the game. Yeah, what does that mean? That means connecting with God in a meaningful way. That means surrounding yourself with other men, because this stuff's hard. This stuff's hard, and you need other men to put you in check. You need other men to challenge you. You need other men that if you did something dumb, you're embarrassed that they saw you do it.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of people you want to surround yourself with. That's the environment you want to find yourself. And if it's not there right now, find it and do it. So there's a lot of wonderful people out there, a lot of wonderful churches, a lot of wonderful men's groups and communities. Get connected, guys. And it's not always easy for guys because a lot of us are a little bit introverted and we're not comfortable with that. It's all right. Get over it. And it's important for your life.
And you know what, guys? We don't have all the answers. We're not telling you what to do. We're not saying it's our way or the highway. All we're saying is up until this point in our lives, choosing God has been the only way.
And we both tried different roads.
I've been in the world.
Yeah, I've been in and out. This is the right way, guys.
I've tried a bunch of other stuff. It didn't work.
Yeah.
Now that I'm here, I still am fixing things, but you know what? It's working, and it's working, and it's working.
Right.
And I can't stress enough the importance of at least just, even when you're going to do things wrong, you have to put in the work.
Yeah.
If you're going to be a drug dealer, you got to put in the work. If you're going to beat people up, you got to learn how to fight. You got to put in the work. So anything you do, you got to put in the work. So if you've tried all these things that end up in the wrong or the bad, or you have a void and you can't fill it, you never will. Because that void, we're designed to fill it with God's love and word. So in the world, you're not going to be taught that. But when you come to Christ and you build that relationship, that void, you begin to empty out and fill in with Him.
Yeah.
That's what starts happening. And then you find that peace.
You know, it's funny. We all have that need for God, real relationship with God. Our heart craves it. And then we search for it in so many different things. We go to that. We go to her. We go to this, that. And none of them last. They're easing for a moment. And they're really, because they're counterfeit. They're counterfeit gods you're putting in your life to avoid this. And because, again, this path is a call to righteousness. It's a call to servanthood. It's a call to a real man is someone who loves and gives. And it's a high and holy calling.
And you know what, guys? There's something very basic that just came to me right now that I want to let you in on. Because I was there before when I was younger. It's not cool to go to church. It's not cool to read your Bible. It's not cool to be a Christian because you can't do stuff. Well, okay, think about it. Everything that you do now, you can do still, as long as you're not putting anything into your body, your brain, or your heart that's going to kill you. So isn't it a great thing to be protected from disease, from bad habits, from addiction, from all these things that'll just kill you,
kill your soul?
So,
right?
Christians party, Christians race cars, Christians build cars, Christians go hunting, Christians have guns and shoot target practice, bow and arrow, everything. We take vacations, we go boating. We can have a girl. The only thing God is telling us is that's all great. Just don't bring into your life things that will kill you, because he wants to give you long life. So if you guys really think about it, instead of saying, oh man, you can't do this, you can't do that, it's really the things that are going to kill you.
It's the things that are going to save your soul. And God knows what he's telling us.
Of course.
What did you think about the line from John Macarthur said, weak, immoral men abuse women and produce weak and immoral sons?
I'm sorry to say it, man, but there's cowards. There's a lot of cowards. And also, though, a lot of the things you say in this way is, I don't condone that. But that's the sadness that I do know where it comes from. I mean, nobody is born evil. Nobody is born an abuser. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's born an addict. Well, there is some kids because of the parents, but it's something that failed somewhere. Someone failed us.
Brokenness somewhere.
But, okay, where it changes is when we know wrong from right, we got to make the right choice.
Yeah.
And it's not, okay, well, I know that God is good and the world isn't. No, it's, where do I go to get help? How do I get help?
How do I get out of this? How do I make it better?
This is awful. I don't want to feel like this all the time. Where do I go?
Right. Well, he said that, again, weak, immoral men abuse women and produce weak and immoral sons. Then he went on to speak about generational curses. Now, this is a spiritual concept. In the Old Testament, it talked about generational curses being placed on the father and going down 2 and 3 generations. Yeah. And it's funny, that resonates so true. How many times do you see it like, oh, you're just like your father? Or the father was an alcoholic, the son becomes an alcoholic, his son becomes an alcoholic. I seen one woman, she got pregnant at 16, then her daughter at 16 got pregnant at 16. I'm watching this pattern of these curses come down, and I've seen it to be very true. Now, this was an Old Testament scripture, but I see it true today from my own life experience. And it's true. We got to watch out. Those things you hate in your parents, they will come up on you.
The best reference I have, and again, I like to be very transparent. I want you guys to know who I am. I'm not blowing smoke and I'm not trying to boast or any of that. But I was that person. My dad was an alcoholic and he wasn't physically abusive, but he was verbally abusive. Very verbally abusive. I didn't realize, I was against drinking. But I didn't realize how verbally abusive I was. And to be honest with you, man, I can see how you can live life thinking that's how men are.
Right.
That's what they're supposed to do. They got to put your wife in check and your kids in check. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it wasn't until nothing worked for me, divorce, a mess came, and then I had nowhere else to go, and I tried God. And I didn't like what I saw, because God lovingly showed me, this is what's wrong. It's not her. Yeah. It's not them. It's you.
That's that refining process. You're being refined, and you're being made better. Not overnight.
Generational curses are true.
It's real. It's real. Yeah. It's funny. I see it true. Something we have to guard against. But the wonderful thing is we can break out of that.
Yes, you can.
There's a break. Not going to do it on your own, though. I'm convinced of that.
No.
Your flesh,
No.
It's the patterns it's inherent in you to a certain extent. And you want to break out of it, you can break out of it, and you can start in you. And that's what's beautiful.
The toughest thing that happens, I can speak from my experience, is always justifying why it was okay to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But by the same token, you feel like crap.
Yeah.
So something, even though you're trying to justify something, it's like, again, guys, this is what I'm talking about, is we're living in our own hell. It's like, I'm justifying the fact that I was this man's man because I shut everybody up in my family and I'm the one that calls the shots. But yet, why do I walk away not content?
Yeah.
I walk away a mess.
Right.
Because God gave me a heart of compassion and I'm not tapping into that, but something is making me feel convicted, but yet I'm fighting the conviction. That's not a way to live.
Yeah. Exactly.
Until you give into that and say, Lord, what's happening?
Right.
Why do I feel like I want to destroy myself?
Yeah.
And then God begins to tell you and show you in a loving way.
So let's draw this one to a close. But John Macarthur, beautiful words.
Yes.
Masculinity is taking responsibility to reduce evil and to produce good.
Yes.
Let's join this fraternity. Let's join in, guys. Let's do our best from the little things to the big things, guys. Let's jump in this. Let's be real men and let's do good and let's reduce evil.
God bless you.
God bless you guys. Thank you for being here.